In this video, I'm just going to try to tackle a single problem, just simply problem number 25, exercise 374. At this point in the text, things are really quite difficult. At this point, many of you, I'm sure, no doubt, would like to light the book on fire and throw it out the window. But hang in there, deep breath. We're about to peak, we're about to reach the pinnacle for the entire quarter, and things will begin to gradually get a little easier once we make it through the remaining handful of problems here in 7-4. So for now, let's just turn our attention to but a single problem. Try to take this one step at a time. Don't panic just yet. We're almost through. So in 25, we're just given two premises to work with. You'll notice that they're both horseshoe statements. And the statements here contain the variables that we're after, t and the s, and they both have the g in common. So let's think about what we could possibly do with horseshoe statements. One rule, hypothetical syllogism. They do have a variable in common, but that'll give us a vertical line, not the diagonal line. So HS we know is out of the picture, and try as we might, we can never pull off an HS here. Modus ponens, modus tollens, also out, because we don't have an antecedent by itself, nor do we have the negation of a consequent by itself. So those two rules do in fact deal with horseshoes, but they're out as well. So thinking through our logically possible options here, it seems to be the case that we can do one of two things. To begin the problem, we could either do transposition, but that would get us tildes into the picture, and nowhere in our conclusion do we want tildes. What good is it going to do us to reverse and negate? Of course, we could do this, nothing wrong in doing it, but you've got to think ahead a little bit. If I do transposition, where is it going to get me? So the only other option, it seems, is to do material implication, to do impl, to switch those horseshoes to wedges. So horseshoe to wedge, you add a tilde to the first variable. So I'll do that for steps 3 and 4. One impl, and then we'll go ahead and do two impl, and see what that gets us. Maybe the wedges will be a little easier to work with. So horseshoe to wedge, again, negate the first variable, and we get not t or g, and then two impl, we get not s or g. So now we've switched those horseshoes to wedges. Great. What the heck can we do with these wedges? What can we do with the wedges? And this is really the tricky step. With a little bit of thought, you can figure out process of elimination. I'm probably going to have to, do material implication. But what can I now do? And this is the real trick. I'm using this problem for a video because this trick will come up a couple of more times. So add this once again to your toolbox. It'll come in handy, perhaps even hint on the test. So here's the procedure. I can now do conjunction on 3 and 4 for line 5, 3 and 4 conjunction. And that'll give me not t or g and not s or g. Of course, putting in the parentheses, got to clearly identify that dot as the main operator. And why did I do that? Well, I did that because I can now set up a distribution. Both of my conjuncts, right side, left side, they both have a variable in common. They both have a g. But of course, to do distribution, I need to take an intermediate step. I need that common variable to come out front as the front variable in each respective conjunct. But that's easy enough to take care of. Do a com on the first conjunct, and then do a com on the second. And technically, this should be two separate steps, but just in the interest of time, I'll combine it in a single line. So instead of not t or g, I want g or not t. And then the same procedure here in the second conjunct. Instead of not s or g, I want g or not s. So now finally, I can do 6 distribution, sucking out, so to speak, the like variable, the one that comes out front, namely the g. So suck out the g, and then I get the leftover parts. Not t, not s, main operator starts at the dot. I want it to be a wedge, use the dot as the leftover, put in my groupings, and there's distribution conducted on line number 6. So now that I've gotten all the way down to line number 7, and that was the key there, doing the conjunction to set up that distribution. Now that I've gotten line number 7, I need to turn it in, obviously, to my conclusion. So how the heck am I going to do that? Well, there are a couple of differences between my line 7, obviously, and the conclusion I'm asked to derive. The conclusion has a horseshoe as its main operator, and I want a wedge. And I've got a wedge. I need a horseshoe, I've got a wedge. And further, things are not organized as I would like them to be. I want the g to come last and mine's first. So I need to, first of all, reorganize, and then I'm going to have to flip that wedge to a horseshoe. So let's order things properly. I want the G to come last, my G comes first. Well, that's easy enough to take care of, given that the main operator is a wedge. Let's just do 7 con. Let's do some reorganizing here. Put that not T and not S out front, followed by the G. Now I've got things lined up, T first, S second, G last. Now I just need to take care of the operators. This operator is a dot, I want it to be a wedge. Further, I've got tildes, I don't want tildes. So that's 2, fairly easy to take care of. I can do De Morgan's just to that first disjunct, just to the left-hand side. So that'll suck out the tilde, taking it away from the T and the S respectively, bumping it to the outside of the parentheses, and that would leave me with a wedge. Flip that dot to a wedge, and now I've got the wedge where I want it. The final step is to switch my wedge to a horseshoe, and things will look just like I want them. Further, I need to take care of this tilde, but that can be done in one foul swoop. Wedge to horseshoe, take away the tilde from the front. So 9 impl for line number 10, and I'll be done. T wedge S, I've taken away the tilde. Horseshoe, switch the wedge to a horseshoe, horseshoe G, and the 2 align perfectly.